Welcome to day 2 of our place value lesson that has to do with rounding decimals to any place value position when we're using vertical number lines. Hopefully today will be a little less exploration and a little bit more clear on the procedures that we need to use when we are using our vertical number lines. A quick review would be if we took 8 and 735 thousandths and we rounded that to the nearest 1. So, I know that in my ones place I have an 8. I can either round this down so that the whole number is rounded to 8, or I can round up to 9. Therefore, our vertical number line will have an 8 and a 9, since we're talking about the ones place. Now, what's halfway, or what's our midpoint between 8 and 9? When we're working with decimals, we would say 8.5, or 8 and 5 tenths. 8 and 7 tenths would be a little bit above that. Of course, we would read this as 8 and 735 thousandths. But because there's a 7 in the tenths place, we know it's above, so it's closer to 9 than it is to 8. All right, so let's try with a number that's a little bit bigger. Let's round 49 and 67 hundredths to the nearest 10. I know that is going to give me either 40 or 50 just by looking at this number. Is 49 and 67 hundredths closer to 40 or 50? Well, we can use our chart here to show all the different ways that we could decompose or break apart this number. I could take my 4 tens and trade them out for ones, so I would have 49 ones total and 6 tenths and 7 hundredths. Or I could trade out my ones and end up with 496 tenths and 7 hundredths, which would be a lot of little pieces. I'm thinking about which one of these decompositions, this one, or this one, is the most helpful for me. And I'm deciding the one with more tens is actually the most helpful because it helps me identify the 2 rounding choices. Because it's telling me to round to the nearest 10, I want to look at the place value spot that has the most tens. So I'm either going to have 4 tens or 5 tens. I'm rounding down to 4 tens, which would be 40, or I'm rounding up to 5 tens, which would be 50. I gave you a little checklist to make sure that when we're doing this, we're all going through the same steps every single time. So whenever I ask you to round a number using a vertical number line, you can use this. And for this problem, I wrote our 40 and our 50 like we just talked about. If we're using our checklist, did we find ways to break the number up? Yes, that's what doing this up here did. Did we record the above and below numbers? Here's our above number, here's our below number. Based on the decomposition up here, that was the most helpful. And now we haven't done this, find the midpoint. What's halfway between 40 and 50? 45. Where's our number? 49.67 would be above 45. Circle your answer to show the rounded number is closer to this 50 than it is to 40. Look at how little it has to travel from here to here compared to here all the way down to this 40. This list, I think, is going to be the most important thing for you to have in your notes because this will work for every single vertical number line rounding problem. Hopefully during our exploration notes on this in the previous lesson, you caught at least 1 or 2 of those steps, and now that will help clear up the procedure for the rest of these problems. So let's try it with 9 and 949 thousandths, and let's round that to the nearest tenth and the nearest hundredth. Show our work using a number line, of course. Let's go ahead and break this up or trade the pieces out in as many ways as possible so we can see what's the best way to organize our number line. So I can trade out my 9 ones for some tenths and have 99 tenths, 4 hundredths, and 9 thousandths. I could even take these and break them into hundredths, right? And I'd have 994 hundredths and 9 tenths, which is a lot, probably too many to work with. And now I'm thinking, do not write these, do not write, do not write, do not write. Just think, which one of these, A, B, or C, helped us the most when we're thinking about rounding to the nearest tenth? Well, the one using the most tenths to name the decimal would be the most helpful. I knew that I would round to either 99 tenths or I'd round to 100 tenths. Then you can look at the hundredths. 4 hundredths is not past the midpoint, so I rounded to 99 tenths. 99 tenths is the same as 9.9. Which digit, and here's this question, made no difference when we were rounding to the nearest tenth? Well, we didn't even look at the thousandths column, so that one really didn't make a difference to us. And it's important to keep track of your thinking. Which place value positions did I use when I was rounding? If we were to look at what we just did here on our number line, we had 99 and 100, 99, 4, let me put my decimals in there, 99, 4 was closer to here than it was here because our midpoint is really 99, 5, right? 5's always in the middle, so our 4 was closer to the 99 tenths. All right. For the hundredths portion of this, if you want to use the vertical number line and that's making sense to you, great.